exploring the enigma of birth in the animal kingdom, a phenomenon that perpetuates the cycle of life on Earth. But what are the intricacies of this process among different species? Some births are so remarkable they can leave you awestruck, while others are distinctively extraordinary. Join me as we delve into a captivating journey to discover the most astonishing and unique animal birthing events. Prepare to be amazed by these wonders of nature. Let's embark on this exploration together. Animal births that give you goosebumps. Life for elephants begins with a unique and somewhat dramatic event, a fall from a height. When a baby elephant is born, it weighs between 198 to 264 pounds and literally falls out of its mother's womb. However, the baby is wrapped in a protective membrane that helps to soften the impact of the fall. The mother elephant plays a crucial role in the baby's life, helping to feed it for 4 years and continuing to care for it for 6 years after giving birth. This is not much, considering that an elephant pregnancy lasts about 2 years. Nonetheless, the mother's care and attention are essential for the baby elephant's survival and growth. Stingray. Stingray litters range from 5 to 15 newborns. Although stingrays are ovoviviparous species, pregnancy does not take place in the same way as in mammals. The developing embryo receives nutrients not through the placenta, but from the egg yolk. As soon as the supply runs out, the female begins to secrete a special nutrient fluid that acts as milk. The babies hatch even before they leave their mother's body, beginning an independent life. This process is different from both mammals and fish, making stingrays unique in their reproductive mechanism. Whale. The size of a baby whale is determined by the size of its mother's body. Generally, baby whales weigh around 1 or several tons. Despite their fish-like appearance, gray whale babies are smaller than blue whale babies. As mammals, whales give birth to live young, which are born without eggshells. The gestation period lasts from 10 to 16 months, depending on the species. Unlike most mammals, the fetus exits the mother's body with its tail first, which prevents it from drowning in the water. The mother whale assists the newborn in reaching the surface to take its first breath of air. Giraffe births. Giraffes are the tallest land dwellers, which significantly affects the birthing process. When a calf is born, it first sticks out its front legs, followed by its nose and head. Within an hour, it leaves its mother's body, but before it takes its first breath, it must fall from a height of about 6.5 feet. This tallness is one reason why female giraffes give birth standing up. The calf emerges with its front legs forward, and they can reach a height of up to 5.9 feet, about the same as an average European male. Orangutan births. Orangutans have a reproductive process that is similar to humans. The pregnancy period lasts for 8.5 months, which is almost as long as it is for humans. Newborn orangutans are completely dependent on their mothers, and like human infants, they have weak necks that require support. After giving birth, the mother orangutan instinctively clears the infant's airways of mucus and holds it against her body for care. Rabbit. In rabbits, pregnancy lasts about a month, allowing a female rabbit to produce several litters in a year. Rabbit babies resemble moving hairballs, and if you notice them in your yard, it's likely your rabbits have had offspring. They use wool and soft, dry grass as nest-building materials, and before giving birth, the female always tries to find a secluded place. Do you think that's it for today? Of course not. Let's move on to the second part of this video, in which I'll show animals giving birth in the most incredible ways, males carrying babies, the most selfless mothers in the animal world, and unique births. All that and more in this video. Who gives birth in the most incredible ways? The female anaconda, while pregnant, finds a deep puddle and stays in it until it gives birth. Pregnancy lasts from 5 to 9 months, and a brood can consist of as few as 6 or as many as 40 young. Newborn snakes almost immediately begin an independent life. In yellowhead jawfish, males carry their offspring. The female reproduces the eggs, which the male fertilizes and incubates in its mouth. The male continues to take care of the babies by keeping them in its mouth, offering protection. The common Suriname toad, also known as the star-fingered toad, carries its babies not inside the body but outside. Females have cavities on their backs where they place their eggs. About 3 to 4 months after fertilization, the babies hatch and move around on their mother's back. Kangaroo joeys are born as early as 1 month after conception, but they are not yet adapted to life. Newborn joeys are tiny, with a body size that doesn't exceed 0.9 inches. Immediately after birth, The jolie climbs up its mother's body and crawls into the marsupium. After a few months, the jolie grows up and leaves the marsupium. Giant pandas have an interesting way of reproducing. Newborn panda cubs are completely helpless, with no color and blindness. After birth, the female dedicates herself to caring for the baby, nursing and protecting it for several days without moving away or taking in food or water. A maternity leave would certainly be beneficial for female pandas. Kiwi birds lay very large eggs, with a female giving birth to an egg roughly equivalent in height to a 4-year-old child. The ratio between the female's body size and the egg size is considerable. During the bearing period, the female consumes 3 times as much food as usual. 3 days before laying the egg, the bird stops eating because the egg takes up so much space in its body. Sea urchins are incredibly prolific and can lay up to 20 million eggs. Of course, only some of them survive. Males and females release a cloud of cells into the water, which, within hours, become fertilized and turn into spherical creatures covered in tiny hairs. These creatures then begin to form a skeleton and are ready to reproduce. The process of reproduction in sea urchins is highly productive. Jackson's chameleon. Jackson's chameleons have the ability to reproduce through both laying eggs and producing live babies. A single brood can have as many as 30 individuals, and the female carries the eggs inside her body instead of laying them. This is an uncommon trait among oviparous species. Tigresses. Tigresses are masters of pregnancy disguise. Despite their relatively short gestational period of 3.5 months, they're able to hide their big bellies until they're 10 to 12 days away from giving birth. It's during these days that they're busy finding and setting up a place to give birth and care for their offspring. A litter usually contains 2 to 3 cubs, but sometimes it reaches 7 cubs. As a rule, the interval between births is 18 to 22 months. Shingleback Lizard. Female shingleback lizards face difficulties in carrying their offspring. Typically, they give birth to 1 or 2 babies, which can be relatively large compared to the mother's size. This process can be compared to a human female giving birth to a 7-year-old child. Sloths. Sloths spend most of their time in the treetops, and they give birth in a very unusual way. The female hangs from a branch, holding onto it with her forelegs. In this position, birth takes place, and the cub climbs onto its mother's chest and clings to her. Barnacle Geese. Barnacle geese lay their eggs on cliffs that can be as high as 393 feet, which is roughly equivalent to a 40-story building. Once the eggs hatch, the chicks are faced with the challenge of finding food since there is no vegetation on the rocks. Eventually, the chicks start jumping out of the nest, trying to make a soft landing. Seahorses. Seahorses are unusual fish. While most fish species have females that carry their offspring, seahorses do it differently. 9 to 45 days before hatching, the male seahorse carries the eggs in a special cavity. During the birth of offspring, the male opens the cavity and pushes the babies out. Octopuses. Octopuses mate only once in their lifetime. The male octopus has a specialized limb to fertilize the female. After laying eggs, the female creates a current to clean and protect them from predators. Hippos. In hippos, pregnancy lasts 8 months. Before giving birth to their offspring, females leave the herd for 2 weeks to build a strong bond with their cows. Hippos are born in the water and immediately learn to swim. Naked mole rats. Naked mole rats are extremely prolific creatures, forming colonies headed by queens. First-time mothers can have litters with up to 27 babies, which is the maximum number among animals. Porcupines. Porcupines are known for their sharp spines, but fetuses in utero have soft hairs instead of spines. These hairs harden and sharpen almost immediately after birth upon exposure to air. Generally, animals reproduce either by laying eggs or by giving birth to live babies. However, there are remarkable exceptions and unique reproductive mechanisms in the animal kingdom. That's all, folks. What do you think about these fascinating animal birth processes? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and see you later.